let's look at the new implicit usings in C#10. Now, for most of my training, I work to give you an in-depth perspective on technology, but sometimes you just need to get the quick answer to the question, how do I use that? And that's why I created the 10-minute training series. So let's dive right into the code. And here in the code, we actually can already see the use of implicit usings. So right now we have console writeline, but console is not the root. It's actually system.console.writeline. So where is that using system? That used to be the top. We used to say using system like so, and that would be in pretty much every file we ever created. Well, not anymore, because of the fact that it's an implicit using. So let's look at where these are. So if we right click on our project and say open folder in File Explorer, I know as we're going to look at the actual, folders. Yes, because they by default are hidden. So the implicit usings are implicit, meaning they're not displayed and they're not in your application. But if you go into the project folder and then go to the OBJ folder, debug.net or net 6.0, in here you'll see a .globalUsing.g.cs. This is a auto-generated file that will show you what global usings are being implicitly added to your project. So if we just drag us over to Visual Studio, we will see that this is auto-generated, and here are the global usings for our project. We have system, we have system.collections.generic, system.io, system.link, and so on. Now, this will be different if it's a web project, and it'll be different again if it's a worker service. So they will not be the same every single time, but for the same type of project, they will be the same implicit usings. So essentially, this is just a global using for our project, but it's hidden from us. Now, this is buried, but these are the standard ones we use. And these are in the top of pretty much every class that we would create normally. Now, we would delete these, the ones that aren't being used, which would be a few of them probably, depending on which code we're putting in our class. However, if you decide, you know what, I don't like to have these implicit usings, not a problem. If we right click on our project and we say edit project file, you will see implicit usings right here as enable. We can turn this off if we want, or just delete this line, and that will turn off the implicit usings. If you don't want to go that far and say, well, yes, I like these, but I don't want to use all of them. Maybe you want to tweak. You can't change the auto-generated file. Don't do that, because it's going to get regenerated every time you build. Therefore, that would basically wipe this out. Instead, what you can do is you can add an item group. So in here you can say item group, and then we'll add a using, and we'll say remove equals system. So remove the global using for system. We'll save that. And now I come over here and notice that console is no longer lit up properly. It has a red squiggly that just appeared because there's no longer a global using for system. So we've removed that from our option list. Now, you could also, if you wanted to, add a different using in. So for instance, maybe you want system.data is not in this list, but we could say using, and we'll say instead of remove, we're going to say include system.data. Now this is a text field, so you have to make sure you type it correctly, but now system.data is added as a using statement. All right, so this will allow us to add this back in if we want, or remove it. We can also include our aliases. So for instance, if we had, and let's add our using up here, using system. Okay, life is good again. But if we had a folder structure, let's just create a folder structure called data, and then in here we'll create a new folder called SQL, and then in here we'll create a new class called data access. So this is our data access that's implicit usings.data.sql.data access. And if we were over here and want to reference this, we'd add a using and then say implicit usings.data.sql like so, and then we could access the data access like so. Now, maybe we want to shorten this down. We could use an alias, and in our item group here, we can add aliases as well. So let's comment this out. So you don't have this anymore. Let's grab this. We'll copy it, and we're going to add it as a global. So using include, and then at the end of this, we're going to say alias equals just let's give it a shorter name like SQL DA. You can't use SQL because it's already a namespace, but SQL DA. And now over here, instead of data access, we can say SQL DA dot like so, and that will light up. Whoops. That should light up with the correct. There we go. Now it's lit up, and we just need to change this one. We can just get rid of that. But now we have used an alias. Notice it says implicit usings.data.sql is what this alias is for. So we can add our own global aliases as well in our project file to add them to this list. Notice it now, this auto-generated file now has a global using that has the alias as well. So, and we have system.data as well. So this will manipulate that implicit using file. So we have implicit usings. We can turn them off here. We can modify in this item group by removing or including or aliasing certain namespaces for us. So that is the new implicit usings in C#10. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this system, how much you like it, whether or not you will enable it or not. Note that by default, it is disabled for .NET 5 and previous projects, and it's enabled for .NET 6 and beyond. But again, you can toggle that. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments. Also, if you want the source code for today's video, then use the link in the description. Thanks for watching, and as always, I am Tim Corey.